Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara. All relations, let's go. Upward spiral, gang. We keep winning and winning every single day. We are indestructible. We are Vajra. Let's get started today, guys. So I'm excited about this topic because this is a big one, man. Spiritual breakdowns are oftentimes divine initiations in disguise, okay? Ooh, this is a big topic. I want to use the example of Shia LaBeouf, okay? Now, you may know Shia LaBeouf as the actor. He became famous also because of his parodying of Hollywood and him putting a paper bag over his head. I don't know if you remember those days, or him crying at his own movies. So, at first, we already know he had an experimental mind, right? He wanted to take a zoom out on his life because this man was going through everything, right? He was a generational talent. He was a Hollywood rebel. He was a wild soul. Behind the scenes, he wasn't really chasing the fame. He was chasing fulfillment. And I think a lot of us, we set the coordinates on something different, right? Like, fame can happen oftentimes as a byproduct. If you're chasing your fulfillment, then that's great. But if you're chasing the fame, then you get the fame. You miss out on the fulfillment, is what I'm saying, okay? So fulfillment means you're fully filled, you're complete, you're whole, okay? That's what fulfillment is. There's a completeness. There's no lack or missing, or something's missing, or I need to get this thing. Right? That's where the chasing comes from. It comes from clinging. It comes from our own desires. Now, I'm not saying desire is a bad thing at all. It's just desire gets fused into an intention, and that intention rules. Okay? So, I mean, this guy was on, sex, drugs, rock and roll. You already know Hollywood. Okay, he was doing it for clout, attention, validation, trips. But then God kind of stepped in with a plot twist in his arc. So this is kind of his redemption arc in a sense. So this isn't a testimony. This is what we would call a divine breakdown. The kind that shatters the ego but reclaims the soul. Let's be real. We live in a culture where hustle is worshipped as a god. I mean, Shia lived it up, okay, to the extreme. Multi-million-dollar deals, legendary roles. And instead, he said he would smoke weed but not really get high. He would drink, but then he wouldn't get drunk. So he built up such a tolerance. Imagine, guys, right? This is how it might be for you too. If you've been through the pangs of addiction, the withdrawal symptoms, going through all of that. Really think about it. So this is basically like the exhaustion of instinct, but it's also the collapse of counterfeit pleasure, of fake bliss. This is what we call a slow death of the lower self in Primal Sutra. There's a part of you that craves the validation but forgets the vibration. Mystical staff drop. Every Flomo sapien, every mystical seeker that is on this path working of Primal Sutra, they know this truth. The void is the beginning. So God didn't find Shia through him being on a red carpet, for instance. He found him through an AA Zoom meeting. God found him when he was broken, out of options, and completely ashamed of himself. He opened the Zoom meeting and he saw 50 men, all laughing and smiling. And that, he said, was the first sign of God, was through laughter. Because he led a laughterless life before that. He said, I hadn't laughed in years. So he'd shut down this natural playfulness mechanism within, right? This is how I'm seeing it as a flow state coach, as a catalyst of this transformation specialty. Real spirituality doesn't start in the light, it starts in the darkness, it starts in the shadows. The kind that just devours masks until only the realness remains. The ocean will break you, then baptize you. So Shia LaBeouf has another story. His friend took him to the beach. He told him, try to stop the waves. He couldn't. Shia LaBeouf said, that's God. And he said, for the first time, I stopped trying to control everything. This is such a moment, such a pivotal moment that I want the audience to reflect in their own lives, you know? When you reach this precipice point where you were like, enough is enough, I'm gonna reclaim my power, right? All my attention, all my energy has been going too much into all these different things, whereas I needed to just return to the reservoir, right? Take refuge in myself. In Primal Sutra, we call this a surrender threshold, okay? A surrender threshold is where all your identity crumbles and only source remains. So that means that Shia LaBeouf's mentor was the ocean, technically. That was his guru. The ocean became his first altar. Do you guys understand why I'm drawn to this archetype now? This whole storyline of things? The waves became his first prayer, guys. So this was a spiritual setup that he said was disguised into this movie role. So he had to play Padre Pio, okay? It was a comeback film, but that was where God persuaded him into his faith. This was like divine irony, okay? The role was meant to revive his career, but instead it revived his soul. So this is what I mean when I tap into the sacral energy of Shivkamasmadeva. That's when God uses even your ego and your ambition as bait for your transformation. When he read Gospel of Matthew for the first time, let's say, he didn't just read that text, he felt it. He heard a roadmap in his mind saying, let go. Letting go is one of the core of our activations here at Primal Sutra. You let go of the survival identity, you let go of the shame, you let go of wearing the mask. Because when you release the grip, that is when the divine can finally grasp you. I mean, Shia really tells it to us like it is, right? He had a gun on the table, he was gonna kill himself. And what he said is, I wish you profound suffering, the kind that destroys all your plans. Oof. Only somebody who's gone through a full Kali-flavored ego death can say that. In Primal Sutra, we oftentimes say through the pain is the portal. Through the wound is the womb, the opening. A wound is an opening. This is where fire forges the spiritual warriors. This is where suffering becomes something sacred. Shia fell for Christ, not through dogma, not through being shamed, but through depth, through story, through stillness, through practicing for a role, right? Think about it. So this is the idea, guys. This upcoming month, Alien April, I want you to pick a character that you're going to step into the role of. This is your ultimate priest-beast character, your ultimate archetype, the one that knows how to use the lizard brain in the correct manner, okay? This is important because the lizard brain can also mean manipulation. It can also mean, using dark triad things, also getting immediately to the minds of people to hypnotize, brainwash people, right? So we want to use this technology for the good and for an ethical reason. So understand, as you step into this transformation path, you really have to practice ridding yourself of this internal resistance of like not wanting to change. So even Shai said that in the beginning, Jesus felt too soft to me, but then he saw the fire, he saw the blood, he saw the masculine surrender, the sacrifice for a greater purpose. And then he recognized that's not weakness, that's divine ferocity right there. Because Christ was the original flow state warrior, including that similar code through Krishna, right? Like, we've got to understand, and they're both from Venus, right? This is another key point, another clue. We have forgotten how to love. How to love, okay? Remember Lil Wayne had that song? We've forgotten how to love, okay? And we need to bring that love energy back with our self-love and other love. How we experience love as a collective and how we experience it internally too. So yes, your grandma's Jesus may be more loving and kind and nurturing and so forth, but if you are a man, let's say, you are going to fuse that imagery with your highest connection, right? And so Christ was king. So I want you to think of your king archetype. If you're a woman, just think of your queen archetype, okay? In Alien April, okay? To him, prayer, meditation, this kind of stuff seemed fake until somebody just said, just do it, let go, and let him in. This is what we call 0-point awareness in Primal Sutra. It's the place you go where your mind stops and spirit takes over the mic. Hello, right? It takes over the mic. No monologue, no memorized mantra, just a beingness that you feel. Just surrender, just lightness, just source. Source code, right? Source code. So Shia LaBeouf said, I used to manipulate, used to lie, used to cheat. And now I just want to love God better. So this is where your entire timeline realigns with soul truth. This is what we call golden timeline jumping. His soul truth now resonates through his entire vibration. So this is why it's so powerful. So Shia isn't performing anymore. He's tapped into priest mode. And he has some understandings of the past of the beast. But now the beast has been given a structure, something to flow through, right? A filter. That filter is you, okay? It's all your doubts, your insecurities. It's also your great qualities. It's all of that, right? So you might have a very good quality, but then there's some negative shadow aspect of that quality that keeps coming in and like affecting that skill or that quality within you. So radical transformation is this kind of warrior level alignment. It's very soul deep and it's very savage. So here at Primal Sutra, we don't just talk about spirit, we live in it. We train in it, right? We train in spirit. We don't escape pain, we transmute it. We are the alchemists. We don't worship the light, we become it. From fear to flow, from beast to priest beast, from chaos to Christ. Welcome to the vortex. If you want to join our vortex, it is going to be in Sedona, Arizona this year. So tap in. You already know. PrimalSutraMysterySchool.com. I'll see you there. Let's win, okay? Upward spiral. You already know. Oh man, we're gonna do great things today. Let's go. Boom.